Welcome to Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Your host, V&M General Manager Kevin Jean and Iowa Ranger Pro Staffer Steve Graff will keep you up to date on what's happening on the best lakes in the Arklatex region, with a primary focus on Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend, two guys who have fished at a high level with Pro-Am experience with ABA, BFLs, Toyota Series, and BASS Opens. Anglers with a wealth of knowledge and willing to share. So pull up a chair, kick back, and see why so many anglers watch Tackle Talk Live. Here are your hosts, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
Welcome to Tackle Talk Live. I'm Ranger Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, and if you hear some noise in the background, that's the weed eater out there. Somebody's weed eating around my truck out there. But anyway, we're glad you're here. Kevin Jean, V&M General Manager, President for V&M Baits, is sitting here with us. We got James No Face Stanfield in the
he's
background.
got a face for radio.
He got a face for radio, he said. That's why he's behind the camera, he says. But anyway, James is pushing all the buttons, making this show happen, does a great job for us. We appreciate him. And but hey, again, you're watching Tackle Talk Live. We're going to talk Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, and Kevin. Toledo Bend showed out a little bit last week with Bass Champs.
Well, it's 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
The little top 6 tournament they had the weekend before that. Bass Champs showed out. Steve, they got the Big Bass Splash coming this week, Toledo Bend.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week over there.
I think a couple of people sign up for that.
Yeah, there'll be a boat or two. I think it's going to show out for a third week in a row. I really do.
Yeah.
It's fishing well right now. There's fish, again, however you want to go catch a fish, you can go do it Toledo Bend right now. You can go flip bushes, you can go throw a frog, you can go fish out deep, and you can catch a good one.
Yeah.
You know, to win the McDonald's or the Big Bass Splash with. So,
one thing I don't want to get into it right now, but I just wonder, why is it at Toledo you can go shallow and you can catch 20 pounds plus, but at Rayburn, boy, it's hard to do at Rayburn going shallow. You got to kind of get out a little bit away from the bank at Rayburn.
Rayburn's in a little bit of a funk right now. Don't know what's going on, but it's in a little bit of a funk. They got the Texas Team Trail over there this week, so it'll be interesting to see what those weights look like.
Yeah, that'll tell the tale.
It's just in a funk right now. It's kind of in that in-between post-spawn, and the water up, the water's up, so them fish kind of don't know what they want to do. So going to be interesting to see what those weights look like coming over there from Sam Rayburn. And
on the show today, we've got Toledo Bend guide Matt Loscher, him and his partner, Harold Allen. You know, nobody knows who Harold Allen is. I mean, good gosh. Yeah. One of the greatest fishermen ever of all time, especially on Toledo Bend. That's his partner, Harold Allen, and they had a great tournament with Bass Champs. We're going to get Matt's insight as to what's going on at Toledo. It took over 23 pounds just getting a top 5. And Matt
and Harold had a good bag this weekend at Bass Champs. One Angler of the Year, which is a very, very one of, if not the hardest Angler of the Year to win there is in East Texas, Louisiana.
Yeah.
But, you know, Matt's a guide on Toledo Bend, fishes Toledo Bend probably every single day, probably. I bet he's on the water 250 days a year.
Yeah.
And we'll ask Matt that, but a guide on Toledo Bend, so we're going to jump on the front deck with him. He's actually on a guide trip today.
Yeah.
I think it's a crappie trip, but we're going to discuss with him what's going on Toledo Bend bass fishing, kind of get his input for the weekend, what he thinks is going to win it, and just see what Matt has to say.
Also, now we don't have him on the show, but we're going to wrap up. Our good friend, one of Kevin's V&M pros, Nick Lebrun, won the Tackle Warehouse tournament on Lake Guntersville, and of course we're so proud of Nick. And probably the greatest comeback I've ever seen in bass fishing with what he did and how he won that event.
Well, day one he struggled. I think he had 13 pounds on day 1, but he caught him day 2 and day 3. The good thing for Nick is in that Tackle Warehouse Pro circuit is if you make it the top 10 championship day, weights are zero.
Yeah, zeroed out.
So,
and that's what I mean. He had 0 fish in the box at 10 o'clock.
Well, at 9 o'clock. Was it 9 or 10?
10. I was watching it live.
So at 10 o'clock, he had 0. By 10:50, he had 20 pounds.
45 basically minutes later, he's got 22 pounds in the boat. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I mean, he went from 10th to 1st in 45 minutes. I mean, and great coverage, once again, by Major League Fishing, Marty Stone. Those guys did a great job of covering. They gave Nick a lot of good airtime. And but we're going to wrap that event up for you as well and give you the final results of that. But before we get to Matt Loscher, we're going to take one quick break to recognize a few of our awesome sponsors. Stay tuned. You're watching Tackle Talk Live.
Toledo Health is a full-service primary and acute care clinic. Nurse practitioners Jarrett Rule and Melissa Vines bring quality health care that's needed and convenient to the area. Whether it's a stomach virus or a hook in your hand, Toledo Healthcare will try and meet all your health care needs. Appointments available and walk-ins are always welcome. So the next time you're feeling down at Toledo Bend, stop by Toledo Healthcare, located on Highway 6, just south of Toledo Town, or you can call 318-508-5323. For all your boating needs, check out Shreveport's newest marine dealer, The Boat Shop. Raymond Kidd and his great staff will take care of all your engine repair needs or anything else that needs fixing. A certified Yamaha Mercury dealer, they carry two of the best fishing boats on the market from Sea Arc and Camus. The Boat Shop is never short on trade-ins, as they're always willing and able to make you the best deal possible. Looking for great boat accessories? They're a full support Garment and Minn Kota dealer. So the next time you're in the market for a new or used boat, or maybe you just need to service the boat you have, let the Boat Shop fix you up. To learn more, call 318-402-0399 or go to ShreveportBoatShop.com. The next time you're on I-49 just south of Natchitoches, Louisiana, stop by Cypress Knee Outdoors. A store within a store, Cypress Knee is located inside 3J's 4-Way. Whether you need gas, food, or drinks, they have it. While you're there, check out Cypress Knee Outdoors and pick up whatever hunting or fishing tackle you need. Top name brands like Strike King, Santones, Pro, or the #1 soft plastics made, V&M. On the hunting side, they carry guns from Mossberg, Winchester, and Remington. Plus, they've got a great supply of ammunition. Let John Abram and his staff show you everything Cypress Knee has to offer. Located just 1 mile east of 127 on I-49, or call 318-238-HUNT. You're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Now back to the guys with all the inside scoop, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
You're watching Tackle Talk Live. Once again, I'm Ranger Diver Pro Staffer Steve Graff, along with V&M General Manager Kevin Jean. And this segment is presented by Toledo Health, the Boat Shop of Shreveport, 3J's 4-Way, home of Cypress Knee Outdoors. Looking for all your bait and tackle coming up I-49. Take exit 127, go east, not even a mile, and you'll run right into Cypress Knee Outdoors. And they'll have a great selection, especially of V&M tackle. Everything you'd ever want or need. John Abraham's got it right there. And you can grab yourself a bite to eat while you're in the store. So, but anyway, on the Tackle Talk Live hotline, we have Toledo Bend guide Matt Loscher, who, along with Harold Allen, had over 17 pounds, finished 12th overall last week in the Bass Champs. But more importantly, Anglers of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, as I alluded to a while ago, Steve, probably the hardest LY to win in all of East Texas. With those teams that fish that event throughout the year, some of the best of the best in East Texas. For Toledo and Sam Rayburn, the best guys there is to fish it. Yeah. Matt, you with us?
Yes, sir.
Man, appreciate you coming on, man. I know, and Steve, he's on a guided trip today. We're on a crappie
we're interrupting
trip.
A guide trip.
So Matt, right now, how many crappie is in the ice chest?
Man, we've probably got about 75 of them right now. Matter of fact, there's one in the net as we speak.
And the only problem with that is you got to clean them suckers too.
Yes, I do. But that's okay. Hey, it's just it's kind of like mowing the grass. You just get busy and get after it.
You got to do what you got to do.
So
man.
You've got 75 of them right now. What time did y'all get on the water?
We got out here about probably 7:45, 8 o'clock this morning. Not real early.
The life of a crappie guy, Steve. You're on the water at 8 o'clock. You're off by noon.
Yeah.
Go
grab a burger.
Got it made.
Well.
Oh, yeah. Nothing to it.
Well, life of Riley. Hey, Matt, this past week, kind of tell us a little bit about what you and Harold did. I know you may have some other events. You don't have to get too detailed, but we got
8-pounder at that. Had an 8-pounder this weekend.
Had the second largest big fish of the tournament. And tell us what some of the key baits and water depth. Were you deep? Were you shallow? Give us a little rundown what y'all did.
Sure, man. So we, most people probably know we're offshore guys. We don't like to beat the bank. So we stayed offshore. We really didn't get a lot of practice time for this last event. I've been busy, crappie guiding and whatnot. Harold's kind of retired from the guiding, so he's still taking a trip here and there, but very little. And he's so he's got to practice some, and things were really looking like they were going to go our way. Before we went into the off limits period, because the water was coming down. We liked the low water. It was not real high. There was a little bit of current running through the lake, which helps. They were generating a little electricity. And so Harold had one good school of fish located. Not much size, but numbers were there. And then, we had a few other places. I got out a few afternoons and poked around and had a couple places where I thought we might get a bigger bite. And really, almost none of that panned out very well. It was kind of a train wreck, honestly. It was ugly there for a little while. Mm-hmm. We did not put a lot of fish in the boat on Saturday. I think we only boated about 8 keepers or so that day. Mm-hmm. And if y'all have seen our tournament weights from throughout the season, we've been pretty consistent on just good quality fish, a lot of 3 to 6 pound fish. And that's kind of been our deal, but this tournament was right the opposite. We had that kicker fish on this one that really carried us to the victory for the AOI. And that fish was on a spot that we, had some history with. This was a tournament that, a lot of history on the lake did pay off for us. Just fishing places where we felt like we might only get one bite, but it would be a decent fish. And that's kind of what happened. And we just stopped on that spot as kind of a gut feeling. Harold caught that 8 1/4. And the rest of the day, like I said, it was kind of a grind. That one school of fish that Harold had located wasn't there for us. So we kind of scratched and clawed and hit some other places where he had got bit in practice. And we caught, 1 here, 2 there. And like I said, we managed to catch, 4 more that were, I think, a little over 2 pounds each to get our 17 pounds. And that was pretty much it.
Matt, what the big fish? I'm assuming Harold and May, you and Harold together. I'm gonna take one guess and say a big worm.
You got it, bub.
Yeah, that's unusual. Harold will throw a worm much.
I would have been willing to bet a whole lot of money on that one right there. How deep, Matt? How deep was the big fish?
So she was sitting in about 15 foot of water. We stayed in probably, I think, about 10 to 20 foot all day. Yeah. Just kind of that, not super deep, I guess almost mid-range depth, for the most part.
And would you say, Matt, and Benji and Dustin won it with 27 pounds. Cody and Lane had 26 in second place, who we all know is all deep water people. Yeah. So most of the weights came from offshore. The week before in the top 6, I know first and second place was shallow. So you can still, now we had a week worth of 90-degree weather. And that pushed a lot of fish out. But I still think you can go catch some good fish up shallow as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, there is still a lot of good quality fish to be caught up shallow. And there's still some shad spawn going on. So that's
first thing in the morning. Yeah. So let's talk. And first of all, again, congratulations, AOY. Was you guys leading the points going into the tournament?
No, we were actually 1 point behind.
Who was you behind?
Who were ahead of us. It was Blake Schroeder.
Blake and Easton. Yeah.
Right. And those guys have been really strong all year. They had a big kicker fish at the last Toledo Bend event and beat us by a few places, and then they won the Lebrun event. I think it was the next one. So they've been real solid. We definitely have a lot of respect for those guys. We were happy to see them do well. We were happy to beat them, of course. That AOI is hard to come by. But they had a really great season as well.
Yeah.
Matt, with the Big Bass Splash coming up, what are you predicting? What's going to probably take to win that event? There's going to be some 10 plus. Will there be some 10s? Will there be more than one 10? Is it going to be a 12? What's it going to take on Toledo?
I would think it would more than likely take a 10 pounder.
Yeah.
It would kind of surprise me if it took less than a 10 pounder. I don't know, as far as over 10, they're out there, so who knows? But I think there's going to be a lot of good fish caught. I think we've got a strong age class of mature fish in the lake right now. I think you guys talked to Villas Dowden about that some earlier this year.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that, and so I think you're going to see some good quality bass weighed in. Numbers might not be great for the guys out there, but that's not a numbers event. You only need one big one. So it's setting up good for it.
So, and I agree with you. I think he's going to take a 10. I'm going to say like a 10-20, 10-30, just because that's kind of the class of fish we've seen. All the 10s share lunkers we've seen, or the 10s we've seen caught all year, has been around that 10.5 mark. I think that's what it'll take to win it. Most important question, what will it take to get a check every hour? Will it take a 4 every hour?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good estimate there. I would say about a 4-pounder.
3/4, 4?
Right. You may see a 3-pounder squeak in there somewhere, first hour of the day or something where people are holding their fish, or maybe even last hour of the day where guys have kind of given up early or whatever, But I think my bet would be around a 4-pounder.
Well, I know the last two, I actually compiled some numbers and a few weeks ago about the Bob Seeley, and I compared Toledo Bend, Lake Fork, Guntersville, Lebrun, and it took like a 4.25 for 2 years in a row on Toledo Bend to get a check. So that was the average now. So a 4-pounder is probably about right.
I'm going to say it's going to take a 4-pounder. The lake's been fishing well, and as Matt said, you might not catch 100, but there is some good quality fish being caught.
Yeah.
And there has been since back in January, February. We were talking about this on the show. Toledo was putting out some great size. So I agree with Matt there. I think it's going to really take some good weight to win it.
Well, and it's evident, too, with what Matt's saying based off of the Bass Champs finishes.
Yeah.
I mean, again, 5 bags over 23 pounds, that's quality. I mean, and then even going all the way down to the last check, 1630 was 17th for the last place check. And so that's a, 4-pound average? A little less than 4-pound average.
Yeah. Matt, let's talk baits for the weekend. I mean, let's say if people let's have 2 questions here. If you're going offshore, big worms, football jigs, kind of give me your rundown of baits that you would say.
Man, I'd like to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And this time of the year, I mean, you pretty much named it off right there. It's really hard to beat that big worm or a jig, and you could even, I guess, see, some structure type jigs, if you're around some heavy cover, or if you're around more of a hard bottom spot, it's going to be a football jig. And then, of course, a big crankbait, is always good for a kicker fish. So I think worm, crankbait, jig, that would be my top 3.
Is there any place on the lake right now, Matt, where you can go get in the grass and just like 12-15 area? How thick is the grass up there in that region? And would it be a player to maybe win this event?
I don't really think, as far as grass is concerned, it's gonna be a real big player for a big fish. You might catch some 3 and 4 pounders,
right?
But I think it's gonna be hard to catch many fish over 5 pounds on shallow.
Yeah.
If you're going shallow, what are you doing, Matt?
If I'm going shallow, I'm definitely want to try to find a shad spawn deal happening first light. You might catch a big one like that. And then, as you alluded to there is a little bit of grass, thanks to some lower water that we've had this last year or two. We've got some pretty good shoreline vegetation in a few areas, Blue Lake area being one of them.
Yeah.
Housing, those kind of places that always have some grass. You certainly could get into maybe a punching kind of bite. There's a few of those places that have some old hay grass still clinging on, or some of that good alligator grass hanging around.
Yeah.
Where you could potentially get into a punching scenario and pull out a big fish.
I can definitely see that. I can definitely see a frog, getting
Frog
lots of
is another
checks. There's no doubt about that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. If a man commits to a frog all day long, or even a swim bait up shallow, around the cypress trees and the grass, wouldn't surprise me a bit if they caught a big fish like that.
Yeah. All right, Matt. Hey, man, appreciate you, dude. The great information. And again, congratulations to you and Harold for Anglers of the Year. Again, a big feat. That's a tough accomplishment. And but congratulations to that. And hey, and Matt, if somebody wants to do a guide trip with you, give us the number they can call.
They can call our office, Living the Dream Guide Service, at 318-256-8991. I almost messed that up.
So
Living the dream.
How many crappie? I mean, how many have they boated since you've been on the phone?
Man, they're working on them pretty good here. They probably put about 10 in the boat.
He's netting and talking at the same time. So
it's been pretty good.
Right.
Matt, thanks for coming on with us, man. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate you. Y'all do a great show.
All right, thank you, man. Matt Loscher there with Living the Dream Guide Service, and again, one of the partner with Harold Allen over there, legendary Bass Pro over there at Toledo Bend, and he got great insight, great stuff. If you're headed for Toledo Bend this week for the Sealy, man, hey, pass this along. Encourage your buddies to go to Tackle Talk Live and get that information direct from the show here, because there was some good stuff in there that might help you put a check in your pocket at the.
It's interesting to hear of the shad spawn still going on. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just wonder if that's one end of the lake, maybe the south end, maybe still going on. Because,
Matt don't go south, so if he's seen it, it's north.
Oh, really? It's north, it's mid lake or north.
I would assume, yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's that time of year. What about the brim beds? I meant to ask them. They're bedding up already.
It's starting to happen. I mean, that's why I said a frog and a swim jig could do some damage this weekend.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think it will be one overall. That 9 or 10 pounder is going to come offshore, and I think it's going to take a 10. I really do.
If you're looking to throw a frog, that leopard frog, which is kind of a brim imitator, I'm telling you right now, that's as good a color as you can probably tie on this time of year. So it catches fish everywhere. And but anyway, if you're going to there, good luck this week, and hopefully you'll get over there. And like I said, if you catch a 4-pounder, hey, play the game smart now. Get to the weigh-in, find out what it's taking to get a check, and be smart when you weigh in those fish. So it's a game, isn't it, Kevin? With the Sealy, it's a game. So a lot of gamesmanship goes on with that tournament. All right, we're going to come back, and when we return, we're going to wrap up exactly the Tackle Warehouse Pro Tour. We'll wrap that up, and Nick's big win over there at Lake Guntersville. We're also Tater Reynolds. We want to talk about Tater real quick, because he just did something that accomplished a good feat. Yep. We'll talk about him and so much more when we return with Tackle Talk Live right after this.
Are you looking for the finest custom-built rods ever made? Then look no further than Pride Rods. Fishing rods built to last and made in Montgomery, Texas. Constructed by Mr. Billy Kistler with the finest Gary Loomis North Fork composite blanks available. They offer a complete line of both spinning and casting rods for both fresh and salt water. Pride Rods do more than pass the eye test. They excel in performance as well. Ask your local tackle dealer if they carry Pride Rods and pick one up and try it for yourself. You'll see why so many anglers are using Pride Rods. To learn more, go to priderods.com or call 832-418-6040. The next time you're headed for Toledo Bend or Sam Rayburn, stop by Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle. They have an awesome supply of everything you'll need to catch the big ones. Whether your trip calls for bass fishing, white perch tackle, catfish bait, or the ultimate fighting shiners, Keith's Tackle has you covered. Keith and former Elite Series pro Ben Matsubu also have the latest information on what, how, and where you need to be fishing on Sam Rayburn or the Bend. So for all your tackle needs, check out Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, located just off Highway 21 on the Texas side of Toledo Bend, or call 409-625-0181. The Lakes Insurance Agency is an independent insurance agency that has been taking care of Texans' insurance needs for over 25 years, offering auto, homeowners, boat, RV, life, health, and commercial insurance. Owner Clark Moore is a local guide and tournament angler who understands your insurance needs and wants to be your go-to guy for all your insurance needs. For a free quote, give him a call and see why so many Texans trust the Lake Insurance Agency. Located at 805 Southeast Stalling Suite 3, Nacogdoches, Texas, or call 936-205-4467. You're watching Tackle Talk Live, a show dedicated to making you a better angler. Now back to the guys with all the inside scoop, Kevin Jean and Steve Graff.
You're watching Tackle Talk Live. This segment is presented by Pride Rods, Keith's Toledo Bend Tackle, and the Lakes Insurance of Nacogdoches, Texas. 2 locations, Broadus, Texas, and Nacogdoches. Final results from Bass Champs, Kevin, real quick. Do you have that, or you want me to go?
I do. I got them right here.
All right.
So first place, as we were talking about, Benji Gillette, Dustin Rivers right there from Zawali Converse, had 27-18 with an 8.22 big fish. Second place, Lane Masters, Cody Pitt, which we've had Cody on the show several times. They had 26.65 with an 8.35. And Cody Pitt is about sick of being second place, I will tell you. Yeah. Remember the Despino tournament, or he got second to Cole in the Outlaw Outdoors that came here. Cole had 30. I think he had 29. He's 1 pound away every time, so I know he's getting sick of the second place.
Finishing runner-up.
Third place, Jeff Manus. Matt Stewart had 24.09 with a 6.45 big fish. And see, fourth place, Bobby Henderson Jr., Cody Norad had 23.82. And fifth place, Chad Dice and Wesley Holt had 23.17. So you have 5 bags over 23 pounds. 17th place, it took 16.30 to get a check. Colby Hand to Jennifer Britton. 16.30 was 17th place to get the last check.
Yeah, and congratulations to all you guys that caught them over at Toledo Bend. And so now we're going to move on to the, again, local angler from Bossier City, Nick Lebrun, one of Kevin's V&M Pro staff guys. Nick goes out there on Guntersville. And I remember Marty Stone saying something during the telecast. Your wins come when you least expect it. Yeah. This was definitely least expected by Nick. He just didn't feel like he was on the right fish. Had some issues in some of the areas he was fishing with eelgrass. But anyway, it's just funny how things, when it's your turn, Kevin, there's a lot of truth to that.
Well, and how many of us, and Nick, and I was watching live, and Nick stated on live, I almost spun out because he got to a spot that first thing that morning. Eelgrass was so bad floating, he couldn't even work his bait. He said, I couldn't even make 2 or 3 turns and already had grass on my bait. He was throwing a swim bait, and he was throwing the V&M J-Mag on a big shaky head, the mega shaky we make. So that was his 1-2 punch. Yeah. And either one of them he said I couldn't throw. So he left and went shallow. He said on live, he said I almost spun out. Yeah. And he came back to his spot. And Steve, his second cast about 10 o'clock on his spot, he caught a 7-pounder.
Yeah, exactly.
And you stated it within an hour, had 22 pounds like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible to watch. And actually, I had I'll have to tell on myself, I had it on during church. I'm actually watching it on my phone. I was like, this is insane, and I couldn't turn it off. So. Yeah, I beg for forgiveness.
Your wife was not happy with you.
Probably wasn't. But I had volume all the way off, but I was watching what was going on. I couldn't turn it off. But anyway, we're proud for Nick, and a great job by him. Nick Hatfield finished second in that event. And those of you who don't know, understand the Tackle Warehouse deal, they zero the weights after the third day. The top 10 guys only go out on the final day, but all the weights are zeroed out. And
Steve, this first year they've done that, and I will say I like it. I like it.
Unless you're leading after 3 days.
I was going to say, it makes fun TV.
Exactly.
Because everybody's got a chance. Spencer Sheffield was leading it, had like a 5-pound lead.
Yes.
So it sucks for him because he finished in what?
He finished 7th.
He'd have finished top 3, top 4 for sure.
Yeah.
So that part's tough, but it does make good TV.
And with a 5-pound lead, he caught 13. Mm-hmm. So somebody that had to catch probably more than 22 pounds to beat him.
Nick was close enough. He still won it.
Still would have won it.
Yeah, he would still won it. That was a good thing. But because Nick was in second or third going into the championship day. I want to say third. But anyway, it makes good TV. Everybody starts at 0. Hey, it's a brand new ball game on championship day. So
actually, Nick was 6th going into the final day. Yeah, he was in 6th place after 3 days. And then on the 4th day, again.
How many pounds was he back?
Let's see here. On day 3, he was back. Nick, 58 to 63. Was that 5 pounds? 5
pounds.
Yeah, right at 5 pounds.
So
just a hair less than 5 pounds.
What would Nick Hatfield
have? What did who?
Nick Hatfield, because Nick
Hatfield had 62.11, so he was about a pound back of the leader. And so he might have been the one that would have won it because he finished second.
He would have.
He would have won it. And, but anyway, it is what it is. And the guys understand this when you go into it. And if you're in 10th going in the final day and you know the weights are zeroed out, she couldn't be happier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because then it's a one-day shootout. And Marty Stone alluded to something else that I'd never thought about. He said, you'll never see a tournament won on a swim bait for 4 days. but you can win it on a one-day shootout.
And Nick will tell you, the majority of the week, he did most, because he called me after day 3. He did most of his damage on a J-Mag.
Yeah.
He did most all of it. But on day 4, they wanted that swim bait, and he did most of his damage on championship day on the swim bait. He caught one on the J-Mag yesterday. But he did most of it. You can absolutely win a tournament on a swim bait, a one-day tournament.
Yeah, another angler that was really fishing well for this event was Michael Neal, which is, he's one of the top touring guys there is right now. He's a Chickamauga guy, lives right there in Dayton, Tennessee. He finished 4th. Bobby Lane, who's had a great year this year. Yeah. He just continues to make top 10 after top 10. He finished 5th in this event. And no, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong day. Day 4. Let's get to the.
Michael had a.
Yeah, Bobby Lane finished 4th. Michael Neal was 3rd, and Josh Butler. I haven't seen Josh very much this year, but he finished 5th. Jacob Wall, another guy I'm not familiar with, for 6th. Spencer Sheffield dropped. He had a tough day. He dropped to 7th from leading almost with 13:02. Ron Nelson was 8th. And Brandon Mosley, he got a lot of airtime. That's a guy that they're really thinking is going to be a guy fixing to make that next step. And they were saying this, Marty was saying this about Nick about a year ago, that Nick Lebrun is going to be a guy. He's going to be around a while. When he ever gets that first win, look out.
This puts Nick in position. So they take the top 10 in points at the end of the year, and they qualify for the Bass Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I think Nick might be in 11th or 12th in Angler of the Year points. He's right there with a couple events left to go to make it. He's also setting 2nd in points in the Opens to qualify for the Elite Series. So going to be interesting to see what happens with Nick for the rest of the year and which ones he qualify for and which ways he goes. So he's going to have a lot to choose from, I hope, anyway.
Just to give you a heads up, this week, starting Thursday, May 19th through the 22nd, the Bassmasters Elite Series is live on Lake Fork, Texas.
And when I tell you it's going to be a whack fest.
Yes. And those, again, I don't always do this, but tomorrow on Hooking Up and Tracking Down show, we'll have Lake Fork guy Johnny Geis on to give us a preview what's going on at Lake Fork, because the water's been down almost all year over there, 4 to 5 feet. We'll see how much that's going to affect these guys on the Elite Series. So tune us in if you get a chance. Hooking Up, Tracking Down, and we'd love to have you.
And Steve, the last week or so, that lake is turned on.
Yes.
Turned. The guides over there are catching them,
yeah.
and big time catching them. And I've got a couple texts from a couple of the Elites guys this week showing me some fish that they've caught in practice. Today's the last day of practice over there, and they're going to catch them.
Yeah, it could be a slugfest.
Yeah.
And also, Tater Reynolds, we want to give a shout out to Tater. He's actually leading after 4 events. He is leading Angler of the Year. We've had Tater on a couple times. And with 988 points after 4 events, he's leading Angler of the Year in the BFL Cowboy Division. Another big accomplishment. If you can win that, that's a big accomplishment.
Did
there's
you
a lot of sticks in that.
see the weights from Lake of the Pines Saturday?
They were stout.
My goodness.
Yes. Lake of the Pines is on fire, guys. It's a great
Took
fishery.
29 pounds to win the BFL Saturday, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. 29 pounds.
And again, give you a little heads up for next year, the solo 150s, they're going to Lake of the Pines, Rayburn, and Toledo Bend. It could be an absolute awesome circuit next year on that event.
Let me finish that statement. It took 29 pounds to win the pro side.
Yeah.
It took 25 pounds, as you were saying a while ago, to win the co-angler side.
Yes, exactly. That was David Shearer from Elm Grove, Louisiana.
I want to know, if anybody's watching, comment on the show. Were they in the same boat?
Yeah, we'd like to know the pairings.
I want to know if they were paired together. I want to know if a 29-pound sack and a 25-pound sack was caught in the same boat.
Yeah.
If so, I need a guide trip.
Yeah. I want GPS coordinates. That's all I need. But anyway, congratulations to Tater. Hang in there, man. I think he's got one more event. That's probably the 2-day championship. I think is all they have
in
left.
August.
Yeah, it's in August.
On Rayburn.
So, hey, and Tater's, he should be just fine over there. But winning one of those is really difficult. So congratulations, Tater, on the job well done up to this point. Upcoming events, again, Sealy's this weekend on Toledo Bend. We all know that out of Cypress Bend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. June 4th and 5th, Kevin Outlaw Team Championships going on.
At Sam Rayburn that week. June 4th, the ABA Open Series, number 3 South Texas Division. Steve, we skip May 21st this weekend. The Big Bass Splash is at Toledo Bend. Texas Team Trail this weekend is at Sam
put
Rayburn
that,
as well. So.
And that'll be a big event, a huge event as well, as they've been averaging about 200 plus in their circuit. So we'll see how many turn out for the Rayburn tournament. June 4th, as Kevin alluded, that's our ABA stop number 3, South Texas Divisions out of Castle Boykin. Same day as the Outlaw Team Championship, so it'll be a little competition there. But June 11th, the next weekend, we have our 4th tournament on the ABA Open Series. Back-to-back weekends, Castle Boykin. June 12th, Kevin.
June 12th, the Outlaw Outdoors Average Joe tournament, and that is it's restrictions, so only people are allowed to fish it. I forget what the amount is. If you've won over a certain amount of money this year on Sam Rayburn, you're not allowed to fish that tournament. It's for the average Joe fishermen that have not won a lot of events this year. Always a great turnout, great tournament that Outlaw Outdoors puts on over there.
June 17th and 18th, basically about a month away. ABA Solo 150. That's the last one of the season. That's out of Castles Boykin. So if you're looking to fish this next year, this would be a good one to jump in to kind of get an idea how it's run, what it's like. See the job Chris Wayans doing with this circuit. It's going to be a good one. And next year's tournament trail for this event, this circuit will be a good one. So
and then June 18th, the Outlaw Outdoors Father's Day tournament. I've fished this tournament several years in a row now. Well, not in a row, but I've fished this tournament several years. Great tournament. Anybody fish it. It's an open tournament, but it does have an extra $1,000 to the highest finishing father-son duo. Or father-daughter duo. It's a great tournament put on by Outlaw Outdoors. Another great tournament.
It's going to wrap us up. Hey, well, don't be that guy. There's still time for you to enter some of the lakes in the Bass Cash Bash event, which wraps up July the 4th weekend, I think pretty much on all the lakes. So, but there's still time. If you're going to be fishing, Rayburn's over. Toledo Bend, Lake Fork for sure, and Caddo Lake, I know are all still live until July the 4th. So if you're headed for one of those bodies of water, make sure you sign up. Don't be that guy.
If you're going to Toledo Bend this weekend, be signed up.
Yes.
Get signed up.
Because there'll be some fish caught this weekend in the Sealy event that they weren't signed up and they missed out on $1,500 check. So, hey, get signed up for that. Anything else?
I think that we're good for the day.
That's going to wrap us up. Thank you for tuning us in. We appreciate each and every one of you. Again, spread the word. We appreciate all the help we can get on that. Share this page. Share our website. Do anything you can to help us get more exposure. Check us out on our Facebook page. If you're looking to be a part of our sponsorship family, hey, message us on our Facebook page. Kevin will get a packet out to you ASAP. So for Kevin Jean, our producer, James Stanfield, yours truly, Steve Graff. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week with more Tackle Talk Live.